My favorite version of Les Mis is obviously the 10th anniversary performance by the original Broadway cast, but that doesn't really show Fantine's tuberculosis. So I rewatched the 2012 movie, and here's what I think of how they tackled it. I'm Tira, I'm an immunologist, and I ruin the way TV shows and movies talk about infectious disease. In contrast to Moulin Rouge, which uses tuberculosis purely to foreshadow an impending tragic death, Les Mis uses TB to highlight the abuses that the common working poor suffered at the hands of their overlords in the early 1800s. This is a similar use as in A Christmas Carol, where Tiny Tim is shown with Pott's disease, which is where tuberculosis leaves the lungs and travels to the spine, where it causes bone structure changes. Fantine is unjustly fired from her job at the factory when the other women that she works with discover she has a daughter and she is unmarried. This was apparently the worst sin that a woman could commit at the time. She's then forced out onto the street where she catches tuberculosis and rapidly declines, becoming even more pale and weak. She eventually passes away just after Jean Valjean, the owner of the factory where she used to work at, finds her and takes her to a hospital. The timeline from her catching the disease to passing away is under 2 years, which does seem kind of fast, but considering that she was poor and working on the street, she likely didn't have access to good nutrition, let alone access to some of the more expensive treatments which may have delayed onset. Patients who couldn't afford to go rest in sanatoria spent their money on treatments like cod liver oil or ointments of tartar mixed with belladonna in an opioid infusion. None of these treatments did a single thing towards halting the progression of the disease, which is why tuberculosis has been the most prolific infectious disease killer in history, except for the 3 years where COVID-19 was at the top of that list. Tuberculosis is still a disease of the poor and disadvantaged, because even where treatment regimens are free, which is most places, you still have to take multiple pills daily, sometimes for 6 to 9 months or more, depending on whether or not your TB is antibiotic resistant. I'm revising the rating that I gave Les Mis in my podcast episode from 6 out of 10 to 9 out of 10, because while the movie makes it appear that Fantine catches the disease and passes away within a couple months, I looked it up in the book, it's actually closer to 2 years, which is much more realistic. Let me know which version of Les Mis is your favorite in the comments.